Hey y'all, this is Victor Haskins, and in this video I want to give you 3 techniques for assessing a new mouthpiece. How do you decide whether a new piece of equipment you're trying is right for you and you should keep it in your arsenal? Well, here are a few techniques for you to be able to figure that out as quickly and as painlessly as possible. Now, it will take a little bit of time, maybe a few weeks, but it will help you get an accurate read on whether or not the mouthpiece that you're playing is going to be right for you. Okay, so technique number 1 is you want to do long tones. So I play a Dennis Wick 1B, right? And when I played this mouthpiece, I knew immediately from the moment I tried it on a cornet at the ITG conference, I need this mouthpiece. This mouthpiece is great. But it still took me a few weeks to get used to it in order to get the way that I play to conform to the way this mouthpiece works, okay? So even though I knew off the bat, this is a great mouthpiece, it's for me, I still had to spend time getting used to it. It's like breaking in new shoes. You can try new shoes and go, oh, these shoes might be great for running. But you still have to break them in, and get them to conform to your feet. Same thing with the mouthpiece. Technique number 1, long tones, especially soft long tones. You do a lot of long tones. Long tones, obviously, if you're playing a brass instrument, you should know about long tones. Long tones are your number one friend. You should be doing long tones every day. Doing soft long tones with your new piece of equipment is going to really help you figure out if that new piece of equipment is going to gel with you, because long tones is how you get your muscles to work with this piece of plumbing that we call a trumpet, or whatever instrument you're playing, trombone, euphonium, tuba, whatever. Long tones. So you do your soft long tones, and you want to hold the tone straight and clear, and you want to make sure that you're making the sound that you want to make. That's the main thing. We're musicians. We're arbiters of sound. We're creators of sound. You want to make sure that it's creating the sound you want. Right? So you want to hold out for much longer than that. You want to do, I'm not going to do long tones in this video because I've made other videos about that, which I'll link below if you don't know about long tones. But you want to change your dynamics. You want to play them louder. You want to play them softer. You want to do crescendi. You want to do decrescendi. And you want to spend a lot of time, like I said, especially doing soft long tones, because that's really going to help your lips get acclimated to the mouthpiece. Don't play a lot of loud stuff on it, because that's not really going to teach you whether or not the mouthpiece works for you. You can do loud stuff after you get used to it, but play soft long tones. Technique number 1. Number 2, play some flexibility techniques, okay? And I would use a metronome with these. Do some slow and controlled flexibility exercises. Maybe you're doing single partial flexibility exercises. Maybe you're skipping partials, right? So maybe an example of one of these where you progressively make the rhythm smaller is like this. Right? So you want to be able to get around on your mouthpiece with facility. And so you want to do that by doing slow, controlled flexibility exercises and progressively bringing up the speed to see if you can get the finesse that you need. Because once again, long tones gives you the tone you want in your horn. Flexibility gives you the nimbleness that you need to get around the horn, okay? And the third technique I want to give you is to play things that you're planning to use the mouthpiece to play in actual practical application. What does that mean? Well, let's use an analogy of knives. You're buying knives, okay? Knives are made for different reasons. Knives are made for different purposes. If you get a cleaver, okay, a cleaver is for cutting big pieces of meat, right? And it's shaped a certain way to do that effectively. If you get a steak knife, so you can cut steak, so you can eat it for a single serving of steak. Now, when you get a steak knife, it's not effective if you use it to cut tomatoes and go, well, cut that tomato really great. That's a great steak knife. No, because you didn't buy it to cut tomatoes. You don't go and cut a wood block with it like you see people on these infomercials trying to sell you a knife set. Oh, look, it cuts wood, it cuts steel. Who cares? Does it cut steak? Okay, so that's what you want to do, is find use your mouthpiece and play things that you would play with that mouthpiece, okay? If you're playing lead, if you're a lead trumpet player and you're looking for a lead mouthpiece and trying to make sure the piece works for lead, you should play lead things, okay, by yourself and ideally in an ensemble setting, because that's where you're going to be using it, and that's how you're going to be able to determine, oh yes, this is great for lead. This is giving me the right kind of sound and sizzle that I need to play in this ensemble. If you're playing solo literature, classical literature, you need to practice that and you need to play that. If you're playing in an ensemble, play some of it with an ensemble. That way you can tell, is it going to work with this ensemble? Is it actually going to sound the way I want it to sound? Is it going to behave the way that I need it to behave when I'm trying to perform for an audience of people? If you're playing improvised solos, can you get around your horn and play the kinds of ideas you want with the kind of control of sound that you need? That's important, right? Because there's mouthpieces I've played and I'm like, oh, this mouthpiece sounds great. And as soon as it's time for me to have to play something improvised where I'm tapping into my creativity, I'm composing on the spot, and all of a sudden I'm getting hung up. I'm like, why can't I move around? Well, it's because the mouthpiece is actually creating a barrier, right? The more you have to think about your equipment, the more you have to think about, oh, how do I get, I have this weird thing that happens between these two partials. I have to make sure I jump over it with like the air, or I have to make sure I play it this way in order to play it in tune on this partial. You're going to take away mental energy from playing the music, because this, the trumpet, the French horn, the trombone, whatever your instrument is, that is your way of connecting your imagination to the listener, right? We're connecting our imaginations as musicians to the listener's ear through this. This is the medium, okay? And so this is your connection to the medium, right? Your horn, this is just the amplifier for what this thing, the mouthpiece, does. So your mouthpiece needs to be something that you can, once you get used to it, you can set it and forget it. You're not thinking about, oh, I have to fight the mouthpiece on this. I have to duel this with this mouthpiece. That's not a good mouthpiece for you. Find a mouthpiece that gives you freedom of mind, so all you're thinking about is the music and being in the moment, because you're here to make music. You're not here to play the trumpet. You're not here to play the trombone. You're here to play music. Remember that, because playing music and playing instrument are two different things. You happen to play an instrument in order to play music, but music is the goal. You're trying to play music. So if you want to play music, make sure the instrument is not getting in your way. And the main thing is your mouthpiece. Make sure the mouthpiece is helping you connect with your instrument so you can connect with the music, so you can connect with the audience and connect with the world, okay? So that's my tips for you. Play long tones, especially soft long tones, play flexibility exercises, and play repertoire and things that you plan to use that mouthpiece for in practical application. And that's what I've got for you guys. I hope that was useful, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.